Hello, tribe, and welcome to today's live. Let me check my mic because I'm not sure. I think I'm good. Okay, welcome to today's live. Today, we have an awesome masterclass coming. We are going to talk about, we're going to talk about trauma loops and how to spot and stop them for good. I am going to share with you a framework that is going to help you stop those patterns that have been stopping you from having a successful life. I'm going to help you break them for good. And the framework is so good, it's so simple. You're going to go like, oh my God, is this it? Yes, I am going to teach you. Okay, give me a couple of seconds because I had some, how do you call it, sound problems. And let me wait until some of you either tells me that everything is okay or let me check it for myself. Hold on. Anyways, this is going to be so good. This is part of a masterclass series. Today is day 1. Yesterday, we were talking about becoming a pattern breaker, right? Okay, perfect. No sound problems. Okay, yesterday we were talking about becoming the pattern breaker, right? What does it really take? And today we are going to talk about this framework to help you actually break those patterns, because this person that you need to become needs some instructions, right? So we're going to give her some instructions so she can be completely free and actually break those patterns, okay? But first, we're also going to talk about some trauma loops that you probably will be able to identify with. Okay, all right. Now, if you are joining me and if you're live, say hello in the comments. I know sometimes comments just take too much to get to me because I'm streaming from another platform, but say hello in the comments. And if you are catching this on the replay, comment #team replay so I know that you're watching. I have all of you in mind, and I just love the fact that, to see your comments when you send me your messages, that you watched the masterclass and that you loved it and that you enjoyed it and that you got value from it. Like, for me, this is like just the best feeling in the world. If you don't know me by now, if I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry. There's always new people. So if you don't know me by now, my name is Erica. I am empowerment coach for survivors. I'm a trauma conscious coach. I help survivors going from basically surviving in life and doing their healing journey to actually moving on to the thriving part. I am also the founder of the Forward and Free method, a method that I have created to help you do exactly that, to help you move forward to your success journey and not just stay stuck in the healing. Because at the end of the day, our purpose here is to actually help you become successful, right? I want to take you forward. So I have this 5-step method that is the base of everything that I do, including this masterclass, right? I've discovered that survivors need structure because I am a survivor myself, and structure literally saved my life. And to know how to do things a certain way was pretty helpful in my life. That's why I love to use structure in everything that I do, and you will see it in the slides that I share with you and so on. I'm a certified life coach, I'm a yoga and meditation teacher, and I am also a writer and a doggo mom. Okay, I've been doing this work for 7 years, so I hope that you enjoy having all of this knowledge that I have been navigating on my journey and in watching and helping other survivors heal and succeed. I hope that you enjoy all of these nuggets that I have for you, right? Now, a little bit of a housekeeping. As I told you, this is a masterclass series. We're here, we're kind of like workshopping it out. So we have a workbook that goes with it. Here's the thing, if you are signed up already, you already received an email with your workbook and you are probably working on it. And I'm very excited for the ones who are already doing the work. If you haven't done it already, go ahead, check that email and download the workbook and start doing the work, because this masterclass is all about helping you move forward. It's all about you applying the things that we talk here, so you can, break those patterns. So part of the work is doing this workbook, is completing this workbook. If you don't have the workbook already, it's because you haven't signed up. So you can still do it until tomorrow. Just go to that link or scan that QR code and you will be able to download the book. Okay, the workbook. All right, remember to comment hashtag team replay, because I always want to know when you catch the replay. And I'm kind of mad today because I know that my reminder emails went a little bit late. So I think some of you are going to come late. But anyways, if you catch this on the replay, comment hashtag team replay to know, so I can know that you're here. All right. Okay, so today we are going to start with understanding what are the trauma loops that are blocking survivors from success, right? We are going to start seeing what is it that has been blocking you, because we cannot break a pattern that we don't recognize. And yesterday we spoke a little bit about the perspective, right? So from which perspective are we looking at these blocks? From which perspective are we looking at these patterns? So today I want to tell you the 5 trauma loops that I see more often in survivors that work with me, and that I've seen in myself as well, to be honest. And of course, if you don't see yourself in all of these loops, I think you will see yourself in a few at least. But if you don't see yourself, I want to invite you to think about it, right? And to kind of make a self-assessment of, okay, so I don't see myself in this thing, in these trauma loops, but I know that I do certain things that I don't like, right? So I want you to be able to think about it, because this will always be an open conversation. And I am aware that even though I've been doing this for more than 7 years, and I know that most of the of my clients, they have these problems, I know that there's always something new to discover. So keep an eye open. If you don't see yourself reflected, I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. But if you don't see yourself reflected, feel free to be like, oh, mine is different. And also, damn, share it with me so I can have more knowledge and help other people feel seen as well. All right. But before we continue, I want us to take a little bit of a break here, right? Hello, gorgeous. Hi, Stacy. Yes, I have to still do the workbook. Amazing, Stacy. You will have the time to do it, but it's just good that you have it and that you're gonna, put yourself to work. Thank you for joining me live. Okay, so before we dive into this, I want us to kind of take a break here and take a deep breath in, because I know this is the kind of information that when we put our hands on this, we may feel as if this is something bad and this is something else that we need to fix, right? And I want to bring some humanness to what we are about to dive deep into, right? And I want you to see all of these things from a place of curiosity and not judgment. We are just diving deep into these trauma loops that are completely normal if you have been through trauma, right? And by the way, the trauma loops are patterns of behavior that you keep repeating, right? And you want to break. This is the meaning of trauma loops. I forgot to mention that. So I really want us to connect with ourselves and think about this from a point of curiosity, not judgment. Love and compassion. We are all worthy of it, okay? So if you took a little bit of a breath and you're ready, then we are going to move on. Okay, if you need more time, if you're like, oh my God, I need to brace myself for this because I'm gonna see myself in some of these. Okay, just, sometimes all we have to do is just laugh about it. That's what I do sometimes. Anyways, okay, let's start with the first one. Are you ready to see the first one? I see somebody else just joined live. Say hello to me in the comments so I know who you are. And yeah, so the first trauma loop that I see, by the way, this is no particular order. We are just going through these loops and discussing them, and I'm going to prompt you in some way to be able to kind of see them in a different way and all of that. But yeah, there's no particular order or importance or stronger or softer. We're all different, as I said. So one of the main loops that I see in trauma survivors, people who have been through abuse, through trauma, as a child or even later in life, is this loop that I call wearing the armor. What does that mean, wearing the armor? Wearing the armor is being that strong person all the time, right? When you feel like if you are strong, then you are safe. If you want to get things done, that you are the one who needs to get it done, right? And sometimes, listen, I used to be like this, like so much, it's crazy. And I used to think like I have to do things because nobody's going to do things, better than me in some ways, right? I was such a perfectionist and I was like, this is the way to go. And actually, it wasn't the way to go. I would end up in this loop that you see here. So I had my walls up. I had this idea that I needed to be strong. So I needed to be strong. I had to overperform because I need to be stronger than everybody else around me. Does anyone relate to this? Like, let me know in the comments. Don't leave me hanging because don't leave me hanging. I know a bunch of people who have this. Don't leave me alone on this one. So we overperform. We try to be the strongest one. We try to be the one who has we're put together and we can take anything, right? We can take the abuse, whatever people tell us. We can do more work because we can take it. And that only leads to feeling exhausted, right? Feeling disappointed, feeling resentful towards, not only towards people, but also towards yourself. Especially as you start doing this work and you are like, oh my God, why I do this all the time? Why do I have to be the strong one? And I always end up disappointed, right? Who's been there? Like, I've been there all along. This one was such, I have this plan. I don't know whether I'm going to do it or not, but I want to create a podcast, and this podcast is going to be, about being the strong one persona. I'm thinking about calling it the strong one diaries, just for you to know the extent that I went with this wearing the armor and having to be the strong one all the time. The problem of this loop is that you are always going to be exhausted. You are always going to be disappointed, and there's so much resentment, right? And if you can relate to this, like, my heart really goes out to you because this is such a strong one. Yeah. Okay. I have a comment here. I am the perfectionist. The role wearing armor, slowly getting myself out of this cycle. That is amazing. That is awesome. I love that for you, because I did this masterclass on dropping the strong one persona. And at the end of the day, all of these patterns, we end up pretty much just embracing them and making them our whole personality. And that's why we need the identity work that I spoke about yesterday, because then we tend to kind of like make these patterns our identity. And this is just who we are. We are the strong one. We wear the armor. Like, being the strong one is the identity. Wearing the armor is what we do all the time. And it leads to all of these consequences that we spoke about. So this is a huge pattern that I hope you are going to break once we talk about the strategy and the framework that I have to share with you. Okay. But right now, what I want you to think about, if you see yourself in this one, just start thinking about, where can you be softer? Where can you be gentle with yourself and not let this pattern lead your life? Sometimes it's just micro behaviors, because it's not easy to just change everything, right? Even though sometimes we think that's how things are supposed to go, but it does take some time, right? So yeah, just think about where can you be softer, where can you allow yourself to be held, right? Okay, so this was the first one, and I know many of you will relate to this one. And remember, we are just creating that awareness and honesty with ourselves, right? Because we need to do so if you want to heal and keep growing. And then we have the self-abandonment reflex. Like, oof, this one is such a big one. What happens with most of the survivors, because, okay, there is one very small group of people who have been through trauma and abuse, and they're like, my needs are all the needs that matter, right? And there's also that part of us where when we survive trauma, we tend to personalize things and be like, but I need this, right? But most of the time, the general consensus, the general pattern of behavior that we see is this self-abandonment reflex. I called it a reflex because survivors tend to do this a lot, and it's kind of like a switch. It's kind of like, this is what we do. If people need something, then we just automatically leave everything, and we don't have this habit of having our needs met. And why does that happen? Obviously, if you have been doing the healing work, you know that this comes from childhood wounds. You know that it comes from you being in a situation where your needs weren't supposed to be met. But what I want to tell you is, like, the problems were not your needs. The problem was that people didn't acknowledge and didn't meet them, because we all have needs and they are supposed to be met. But what does this pattern does to you? What is the loop here? The loop here is self-neglect pattern with overgiving, which is a crazy combination, right? Because on one hand, we tend to just neglect ourselves, right? And then on the other hand, we have this tendency to overgive, right? It's kind of like we want to give people what we don't have, and we forget to pour that energy into ourselves. I don't know if you relate to this. If you can relate, yes, that's me. I see 100 in the comments. Yes. Yes, because that's what we do, right? Or actually, that's what we used to do. Or maybe that's the pattern right now, but that's what we are about to break. We are about to break. We are in the process of breaking these patterns. But yes, we can stop for a moment and we can acknowledge, because it is from this place that we are going to change everything. So yeah, we have self-neglect, we have overgiving, and then obviously there is resentment. Obviously there is resentment, there is exhaustion, and these are words that are going to pop up for you all the time. If you identify yourself with these patterns, you are going to feel resentment, you're going to feel exhaustion, burnout, frustration, sadness, right? And all of that, because it comes from looping. That's the thing about looping, that eventually you get to a breaking point, right? And hopefully your breaking point is here and we're going to change it. Here's this me clearing the air and sending the good vibes for us to change it. Okay, so this was the self-abandonment reflex. I feel like I don't need to stop here for more, because we are very familiar with these patterns. At the end of the day, what I want us to do is kind of like an overview of, like, what are the patterns and what do we want to change, so we can actually do the work that comes after. So you can do the work that it's on inside the workbook. Yeah. All right. Number three is the survival hustle. When we fall into this pattern, we tend to believe that we are only safe when we are busy. That loop leads us to overwork, right? Because we have to be busy all the time. So what we do is we overwork, we do more than we are supposed to do. Plus, it's not even productive, right? Eventually, we burn out and we crash or quit. And then there is the shame. And then there is the overworking again. And this right here is very, very dangerous, right? Because this is where we see real burnout, because sometimes we say burnout and we're just talking about being tired or being emotionally exhausted. But I have never personally experienced real burnout, but I have met people who had experienced real burnout, and you can't leave your bed. You don't have the energy, right? And this happens when you tap into these patterns of falling into the survival hustle. Now, obviously, this is not your fault. And the thing about the survival hustle pattern is that it's not just a trauma, it's society itself that really glorifies us being busy, right? If you tell people that you're just like, you're living life, you have a business, and you're just happy making the money that you need to just go about life, people are like, hmm, but what do you do? What do you do? Because people always want you to be doing more, right? And that's a survival mechanism. And so many things are intertwined in here. It's not only survival, it's the trauma, it's the micro things about trauma. Last week, I think, I was thinking about how in the past, I couldn't, when, for example, somebody came and opened the door, I had to immediately start doing something because I felt very self-conscious of not doing anything. Where does this come from? It came from my childhood, and for me not being able to rest, for me being bullied all my life, for me being, abused and all of that, right? So the survival hustle is a pattern that is so big and intricate. But here's the thing, the solution is simple. Didn't say easy, but simple. Okay, does that mean it's going to be very difficult? No, it's just going to be, maybe you need some time to get around it, but you will, right? Where is the loop here? We overwork, we burn out, we crash or quit what we were doing. There is shame because you couldn't complete what you were doing. And then you get back to overworking again because then you feel the need to catch up, right? Which is an illusion. There is no such thing as catching up. Like, you're not late for anything. You can catch up on a video on this replay. I hope that you do on this masterclass, but you don't need to catch up on life. Life is not something that you need to catch up with. And we have this belief that, yeah, we need to be somewhere in life, but like, we need to be here. We need to feel safe. We need to feel happy. We need to feel fulfilled. That's what we need to do, right? I want to know if you have fallen for this, if you have fallen for the survival hustle pattern, because oh my gosh, for like 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago, I changed my business completely because I was falling into this shit. And I was like, not anymore. That's how I became the, gentle badass, gentle way to success lady that you know and that you see in front of you. Yeah. Okay. All right. If you just came in live, say hello in the comments so I can know that you're here. I see more people joining. So happy. Okay. All right. Then let's take a look at another pattern. We have only two more to see. And the last one is a more general one, but I think everybody will relate to that. We have the unworthiness spiral. The unworthiness spiral comes obviously when you think you are not enough, when you think that you are not worthy. And what does happen? What happens in here? Where is the loop? The loop is you have a dream, you have a goal, you doubt yourself, and then you self-sabotage, right? Because you start to doubt yourself and then you self-sabotage. You don't do the thing that you were going to do because you're not enough to get the thing that you want, right? And then there is this shame because you said you were going to do something and then you're ashamed because you didn't do, right? And then there's withdrawal. I forget about it. And then I have a new goal and probably is a little bit smaller. And I make myself smaller and smaller and smaller. This topic for me, this unworthiness spiral, it's so fresh in my mind because Today, I had a call with this beautiful woman. She became my one-on-one client just today. And she came to me with this problem that she had, and she wants to solve this problem, right? We're going to work towards solving this problem. Don't want to give up too much because it's her personal information, but she had this problem. And I gathered the information and we started doing some EFT tapping. And I've noticed that there was some sort of a reaction when it came to being worthy or unworthy. And I asked her, like, what's up when we say, I am worthy of? And then she started bawling because she realized that even though she always thought, yeah, I'm worthy, I'm good, I love myself, everything, she was carrying this belief with her, and it was blocking her from achieving that goal, right? So this is one of the things that we really need to pay attention, because, and I remember this, and I remember me thinking, no, I think I'm enough. I think I eventually tattooed, I am enough. Because I realized that, you know what, I don't think I am enough. I don't think I am enough to have a business. So I was just working the shitty jobs. I didn't think I was enough of a healthy relationship, so I kept having shitty relationships, right? And once I realized that I am enough, right, and once I started, practicing and doing the actions and living life as if I was enough, then life started to change. Then I started to break patterns, right? Because I was like, you know what? Even when I didn't believe about it, when I asked myself if I thought that I am enough, what would I do? My God, life changing. Life changing, because you're going to do things completely different. And yes, it works if you ask yourself this question, just having consideration that it's going to work if you already have like a stable emotional foundation. Otherwise, sometimes you're going to be like blocking a little bit. Okay, so don't get discouraged. You're going to get there. If you invest in your emotional foundation, everything just goes into place. Okay, falls into place. All right, then this is the last pattern that we are going to talk about now. And after this, I am going to guide you into my spot and oh, my camera went. I'm going to guide you to my spot and stop framework. It's so funny. I was like, I'm going to mess up this all the time because it's like two similar words. But anyways, I'm going to share with you my spot and stop framework after we go through this pattern. Okay, so we need to really, I feel that the other patterns are great and they create awareness and we know where we stand. But this one is probably the most important pattern that we need to look at today, right? Because this is not only about, I have this thing that I want to solve. Probably most of you are here at this stage, because we could say that this is like normal awareness. Most of you kind of know that you have these patterns. Now we have to start thinking here, number 5, because this loop is crazy and it's harming you right now because it's making you give up on either trying to break the patterns or even go after the success that you want to have in your life. What happens here? This is the unbroken pattern, where change for you feels unsafe because you just can't do it, right? Why can't you do it? And listen, I'm saying this, but this is going to be a past thing, right? I'm just saying this is what's on our minds, and this is going to freaking change. So here's the thing. We have the awareness, right? We know, oh yeah, I believe I'm not enough. Yeah, I do the self-abandonment thing, and then I start people pleasing, and that sucks. And you have the awareness and you try hard to change. How many of you have tried so hard to change something? How many of you? And you can let me know in the comments if you have tried to change. You can let me know. Right? Probably you have tried to change many, many times. And what happens when we try to change? And this is where the work gets very important here. What happens when you try to change is you're going to either get triggered, right? Or you're either going to feel guilt or shame. This is normal. This is normal. I usually say that when it comes to trauma, everything is normal, because when you start looking at your behaviors and you compare with what you have been through and what you thought and what you have learned, you start learning that, okay, it's normal that I feel this way. It's normal that I act this way, but you're going to change it, right? But this happens a lot of times. Oftentimes, you try to change something, you go ahead and you say, okay, right now, I am going to set that boundary. What happens? We get very triggered and very activated, so it's hard to set that boundary. Or we set that boundary and then we feel guilty after, right? Or we feel ashamed because guess what? We don't believe that we are enough and that our needs are supposed to be met, right? So this, I want to tell you that if you have tried to break patterns before and it didn't work, that is it. That is it. There is the transformation needs to happen here between, my intention and the trigger. We need to do something here. And that's why I love this framework that I'm going to share with you so much, because it considers the time between I am aware and, okay, I'm going to do something different. Hold on. Right? So this loop, you're back to the old pattern because your body can take it, and it's normal. Because if you're trying to break a pattern, and yesterday we spoke about this, if we're trying to break a pattern, and this pattern is probably generations long or decades long, right? Your body is going to be like, whoa, hold on. We survived all this time people pleasing. We survived all this time with the boundaries. Where the F are you going right now? And your system is going to shut down, be like, don't go there, right? So this is the loop that we usually get in. The end we are about to break right now. So tell me if you are freaking ready to learn the spot and stop framework. I see yeses and hands up. That's amazing. If you're coming in live, say hello in the comments. Am I able to say comments on Facebook? I'm sorry if you're commenting on Facebook. I see nothing. Either everybody's on YouTube or you are not commenting on Facebook, or I'm not seeing. I don't know. Okay, all right. So if you're ready, let me take a sip of water. I want to dehydrate myself. Let's talk about the spot and stop framework. This is very simple, and I don't want you to, oh, hold on, I clicked something I shouldn't. And I don't want you to just say, oh, this sounds so simple. It's simple, but it freaking works, okay? It has some steps. Obviously, the first part of this framework is the spotting part. All right. So what we need to do first is to spot it. And I'm not only talking about, okay, I know what's my pattern. I know what I want to share, to change. I want you to really be very granular about it, right? In your workbook, you have a question that just asks you to say two patterns, okay? So for today, let's just think about one pattern that you have to change. It doesn't necessarily need to be these big patterns. It can be like a small one. Think about one thing that you want to change. And let's rewind a little bit, okay? And let's be really honest. Okay, so this is what I want to change. And these are the occasions where the pattern happens, okay? The pattern can be lashing out at people. The pattern can be people pleasing and being very agreeable. The pattern can be I start doing something either for my business, for my goals, for my career, and then I stop. Okay, pick a pattern. This is a great opportunity for me to coach yourself as you do this. So think about the pattern. Done? Do we have a pattern? Do we have a pattern? Listen, if you're catching this on the replay, comment, the pattern if you want to share and everything. Okay, I'm going to read you after all. Now, here is where everything changes. Remember yesterday I told you about how the old way of breaking patterns did not consider the milliseconds and the thing that happens right before you flip the switch, right before you're like, oh my God, I said I was going to do this and you don't do it. Like, what is happening? So I want you to be very granular with it. And if you can do this work with me, amazing. If you need to sit down and think about it, amazing. If you need to maybe watch this masterclass again so you can, listen to what I'm saying and pause, do that. But if you can go with me, I'm going to keep going. Just, I want you to locate the millisecond that changes everything. What do I mean by the millisecond? It's the trigger, the cue, the word, the sensation, the place, the person, the tone. What is it that is happening right before, okay, I need to people please, right? Because this is happening at the subconscious level, and you can also connect with yourself, take some deep breaths in, and just look back at the last time that you did what you didn't want to do, that last time you followed, and you did this thing that we're talking about, this pattern, the people pleasing, the quitting, the whatever that is. Think about it. And what was the thing that right before? What was that thing? What was that millisecond thing that flipped the switch for you? So I want you to think about it. I want you to write about it. Maybe use your workbook as well. You have some pages to write. Okay? So now what we did is we spotted the pattern. We not only said, oh, this is the pattern and this is what I'm trying to break, but we went very granular and we looked at what happens at the millisecond right before you fall into the pattern, because that's what's important. Like the action itself, yeah, okay, it messes up, your life and it's frustrating, but the change is going to happen right before, that millisecond before. So you can write about it, write about what is it? Is that one person? Is that one place? Is that something that people say? What's that thing? Okay. All right. And write it down. So we just finished the spot portion. Ready to move on to the next one? This is fun. We're breaking patterns. Let's go. Okay. Now that we spotted not only the general thing that we want to break, but the granular millisecond action that really makes us fall into this pattern, fall into what I call the survival vortex, where you're like, survive, I need to do this to survive, and you run into the vortex. So here we kind of know, okay, when does that happen? Amazing. Got it? Oh, I hope you all got it. Okay, perfect. So now we are going to dive into the stop part. So how are we going to break this pattern? All right. This is where strategy comes in, right? My forward and free method is all about, yes, creating safety, yes, releasing the past, yes, project. What is it? What is the result that you want to have? Love all that. But it's also about strategizing, because knowing all of this, as we spoke many, many times, it's not going to help anything. Like, you need to strategize. So how do you strategize? Because you also need to do it in a certain way that activates your brain to do different. Okay. So 2 steps, very simple. A mental note for future you. I do this all the time in sessions. It's crazy how it works. You're going to think about, what does the person, oh my God, I'm getting so excited. I'm speaking like closer and closer to you. But you are going to think about, what does future you, the person who is getting closer to the millisecond trigger cue, right? What do they need to hear to break the pattern? What do they need to hear to not lash out? What do they need to hear to actually, you know what, let me be a little bit more soft. Let me ask for help. So think about, what is the note that you can send to them. And you can even physically just get like a Post-it and write down a note, a very short note. And it can be something like, Your needs are supposed to be met. You deserve to set your boundaries. Whatever is it that you need to hear, you're going to create this mental note and you are going to visualize yourself reading the note before you break the pattern. Yes, I'm getting very specific. Yes, I am going into something very, very granular, but that's how change happens, because I can come here and sit down and give you a bunch of fluff, but it's not going to be as effective as you sitting down and being mentally prepared to break the pattern. Because again, you need to feel safe, right? You need to know that as you go into a situation, the conversation, you can hold yourself, right? So I'm reading a note. What does it say? You need to get your butt up. Oh my God. What does that even mean? What does that mean? I need more explanation, Stacy. I need an explanation. All right. So that's the stop part, right? You write down the mental note and then you come up with a plan. I know this may sound boring, but that's the work that's going to help you propel you forward, right? I can give you luxury kind of things that sound, but at the end of the day, if you want to grow and expand, if you want to really break those patterns, you need to plan it out. You need to have a strategy. So, what are we going to just come up with this plan? You can sit down and write about it. And sometimes I feel like we think, okay, this work is kind of cringe. Yes, sometimes we think about it. And you know what? It's cringy, but it works. It's cringy, but it works. Let's sit down and let's plan. What will you do? What will you say? Let's prepare yourself for pushback, because many times when we start setting our boundaries, what happens? There's pushback, obviously, because if we were people pleasing all our lives, people are going to be like, oh, this is a new person, I'm not used to it, I never had a boundary set in my life, right? So we need to prepare for pushback. You can even think about the things that you're going to say. Look, this is the kind of work that is beautiful to do in a coaching setting, because I can help you actually plan all of this, and I can, help you see the different perspectives and all the blind sides. But you can also self-coach you through this, right? And yeah, prepare yourself for pushback. Okay, what if they say this? What if that happen? Not in an obsessive way. And that's why the third point, bullet point, is very important. Hold on. The third bullet point is emotional regulation and safety. And I'm not only talking about safety before, safety during, I'm talking about safety before, during, and after, right? Because not every time you get to regulate and be like, oh, I'm going to do a 15 minutes meditation to ground myself. Not every time you get to do this, but you can also take a break. You can always take a deep breath in, right? So you can prepare yourself for what's coming. And I'll give you an example of how important this is. I once had a client, she had a parent that was sick at the hospital. This parent was not the best parent ever. She wanted to still be there for her parent, but of course it was very difficult for her because of past history, right? Past trauma, everything that happened within the family before in the past. And also, poor thing, she had been through tremendous trauma before, and then something happened in her family that was also traumatic, right? So this family member was at the hospital, and it was a very difficult situation for her. And every time she went to the hospital, when she ended the visit, she felt terrible, terrible. It was guilt, it was shame, it was sadness, it was depression, it was even anxiety. So the work that I did with her was, when you go to the hospital, and by the way, what she was trying to break this pattern of always being there and being the person, like the strong one, always being reliable, and letting people walk over her and all of that. And what we worked when we were working together was coming up with a way of her grounding herself before she went into the hospital. Simple as that. grounding herself before she went into the hospital, do a little bit of tapping. I gave her like a script that she could use. And this way, she was more emotionally protected and safe before she got into the hospital. What happened? She was able to be there for this person while stating her boundaries. But that only happened because she prepared herself before the hospital visit. And every time she would be in the car and she would tap and do what we agreed, and it worked for her perfectly, right? So these are the simple things that change everything. You need to ground yourself before doing certain things. You need to ground yourself before breaking certain patterns. You need to remind yourself to breathe when you are having certain conversations, right? And of course, think about this client. This situation sucked. It was a very close family member. And obviously, when she left the hospital, she felt terrible. She felt sad. And you know what? Let's do a little bit of regulation. It's not going to take all the pain away, but it's going to be different. And what happened when she did that is that she didn't go back to the same patterns because she was emotionally regulated and feeling safe. Does this make sense, tribe? Because this is like so important. I feel this is one of the most important things ever. We tend to just think about emotional regulation as just one thing, but it's actually something that can be completely life changing if you apply it correctly. And I would love everyone in this community, in our community, to apply the what I'm talking about, right? Let's just go through the method again. So first of all, we want to spot it. We want to rewind it, get back to the past, try to see where these patterns are, in what situations do they happen. And why we want to do this, we want to locate the millisecond before we get into the pattern, being people pleasing, overworking, whatever that is, right? We want to get to the point where we know the trigger. Once we know this, what we want to do it is to stop it. How do we stop it? We create a mental note for our future self. It can be an actual writing note. This is beautiful for the brain. I love journaling and writing things down for the brain. It's beautiful. And then we are going to plan and strategize, right? In planning and strategizing, we are protecting ourselves for what is about to come when we try to break those patterns, because most probably you're going to get triggered, you're going to get activated, and you want to feel emotionally safe in order to proceed. Does this make sense? I hope this does, because this is okay. Yes, it makes total sense. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Right? Because this is truly, truly important. All right, let me take the oh my god, time flew. 47 minutes. What? Okay, so let's just take a moment to breathe for a moment. Hold on, I'm just taking a look at my notes to see if I spoke about everything that I wanted to talk about. And yes, I did. So we're just being through what are the main patterns that are stopping survivors right now from achieving success. Why do I want to focus on this? Because healing is a great goal, but I want us all to become successful at our own way, right? Whatever is it that you're trying to achieve, I want you to become successful. I want you to go from healing to thriving, right? And then we spoke about this strategy that you can use. It's the step by step. Like if you use this thing is going to work. I saw it time and time again. So please do not underestimate this. Take your notes and really, really look at it, because this is gold and this is going to change your life if you are persistent and consistent with it. And now I just want us to think a little bit about this emotional safety that we have been talking about, and how it would feel for you to actually feel emotionally safe to go and break patterns, to go and become successful. And yesterday I shared with you this program that I have created. I'm freaking excited, but I feel like yesterday I gave you like little information. So today I'm going to give you a little bit more information so you can start thinking about it. The program is not launched yet, but I want to give you the opportunity, since you are here, to get on, to jump on the wagon if you feel like this is something for you, okay? I'm talking about my program, Permission to Succeed. This is amazing because I love long form programs, but there's something beautiful that happens when you do something intensive to help you with your goals, right? Where you're like, okay, 10 days, which is what's going to happen inside of Permission to Succeed. Permission to Succeed is a 10-day gentle reset for survivors who are ready to thrive. What does that mean? You have been doing the healing, you have been doing the work. Maybe there are some patterns that you want to break. Maybe you need more support in creating safety in your body, because if you are not successful right now, if you are always trying to go after what you want and stopping and self-sabotaging, chances are you don't feel safe enough to create the life that you have been healing for. Because the reason why we do this healing is because we want to be happy, we want to be successful, we want to be fulfilled. And I know that these may sound alien words sometimes, but trust me, you can do this. Like, you can do this shit. Like, I'm just a normal person who has chosen to go on this path, and my life has changed completely. So your life can change as well. So if you are ready to create that life that you have been healing for, but in a way that honors yourself, that in a way that honors your body, Permission to Succeed is the program. It's 10 days, and you're going to have access to a bunch of resources that I'm going to share with you. But before I go and tell you about it, I want to tell you about my forward and free method, because the Permission to Succeed program is based on the forward and free method. What does that happen? Is that we follow these 5 phases. We focus on creating safety, emotional safety in your body and regulation. And then we move on to the release phase, where you do a past cleanse so you can actually move forward, right? And then we dive into the projection phase, and you create this big, bold, freaking version. And this version is going to be big and bold, and it's going to be so much different. You know why? Because now you feel safe. Because when you feel safe, you start dreaming differently. Let me tell you one thing. Let me say that again. When you feel safe, you start dreaming differently. Really. And I say that because it's funny. I think about like writing my book, for example. I wanted to write like just a simple ebook. And I was like, but I have so many things to share. And once I felt safe enough, I have created a whole book that is crazy good, right? Crazy good. Still in process, right? So this is where you project. And then the strategize. I just told you today, if we want to grow, we need to strategize. There's no way around it. And I'm no fluffy coach. I'm going to tell you to strategize, because that's when you get to your goals. But I'm not going to help you strategize in a way that neglects you. That's why we focus on creating safety. And finally, there's the embodiment portion. This is not about just conceptualizing. This is like helping you embody this, okay? So I'm so passionate about this. This is beautiful 10 days. This is everything that you have included. Every day for 10 days, you have a daily success email. And what's on this email? You are going to have short embodiment practices. I'm very excited because for the first time, I'm going to share with you a somatic dance, a somatic workout that I usually do to help me process my emotions and open myself up. Yes, we're dancing. Like, so you're going to get this somatic practicing video. You're going to get EFT tapping. You're going to get meditations, all of that to help you with what I said, with creating safety and support you on your way to success. And obviously there's a workbook. You know, I love a good workbook. It's an extended workbook. Obviously, it's not going to be like the one in the masterclass, because we're doing more work, and it includes guided journaling. And then you get 2 coaching calls. One is 15 minutes, and it's going to be to onboard you so you can make the most out of this experience, because there's a lot of value packed in 10 days, and I want you to take the most, benefit out of it. and then also a 60-minute coaching session. But you can only take this section after you go through 7 days, okay? Because I want you to be like prepared, to be like, all right, Erica, I did this, I like this practice, I have this vision, and I'm gonna give you that extra humph to actually help you do this. And then there will be a content library where you forever and ever will have all these practices that I just told you about, right? All of this during 10 days, right? And if you're thinking this is going to be crazy expensive, this is not going to be crazy expensive. This is going to be accessible. Usually a session with me, it's like minimum 150 if you're doing like a one-off, but this program, everything is 197. As I said, I haven't launched this yet. I am sharing this with you because you're here. I know that you want to do this kind of work, so I'm sharing it with you. Not launched yet, but if you go to this QR code, if you scan it, you go directly to a checkout page and you will be able to join. Here's the thing, this program is only going to be available to 7 people. Honestly, I can't do more than that. That's my container. This is me honoring my energy as well. So only 7 people and 197. I forgot to tell you, this is early bird price that ends this week. The upcoming week, it's going to be $399, right? And still, we're talking like low price compared to all of the goodies that you get from this program. So if you are like, I have these goals, I want to achieve these goals, the hard way is not working, I want to feel safe, I want to feel inspired and confident to go after what I want to have a strategy. Listen, this is amazing for you to start the day. And this is an open invitation. So if you are feeling the vibe, if you're like, I want to work with Eric, and I love it when that happens, okay? I want all my clients to be more than happy to work with me. So this is for you. If this speaks to you, if you're like, damn, I approve this message, damn, I want to do things differently, okay, I vibe with this way of working, hands-on, soft, but with strategy, then this program is for you. Just scan the QR code. Let me share. Stacy saying that this is amazing. I know this is so freaking cool. And I'm excited I can give you this container, right, in so little time, and to be able to teach you all of these things that I don't have the opportunity to teach you when I am doing a masterclass. And honestly, sometimes in session, I'm not necessarily stopping you to give you, these videos. And I just love the idea of having all of these practices that I love so much that you are able to practice with me. This for me is just like dreamy and life-changing. Okay, let me drop the link in the comments. Let me drop that link that take you to join and check out the Permission to Succeed. And right now, join here. And if you want to join, go ahead and do it. As I said, only 7 spots. All right. Oh my God. Cannot wait to meet the people who are joining this program. It's going to be good. Anyways, this was it for today. Tomorrow, you are in for a treat because we are going to talk about how to become unstoppable, how to believe in yourself and stay on track, because everything that I told you is very, very extraordinary. It's very important, but I want you to be able to stay consistent, okay? So tomorrow we're going to do Unstoppable You, how to believe in yourself and stay on track. I'm going to share with you strategies. I'm going to give you real talk, no fluff as always. And you know what? Just thank you for being here. Thank you for wanting to heal. It's been a long time since I said this, but you are worthy because you were born worthy. So you better start acting like it. Okay? Remember, you're so freaking worthy. You are worthy of everything. If you feel like it, also join our WhatsApp group. It's a free community. It's working like a channel right now. Every day you get an inspiration message. And I also tell you what is happening in my world. And over there, you're kind of the first to know about everything. So if you want to stay in the loop, go ahead, join our WhatsApp group. And yeah, I'll see you on day 3. Drop the comments down below. I don't care if you're catching this on the replay. Let me know what was your biggest takeaway, and whatever questions, just drop them there, and I'm gonna try and answer them on our next class. Mwah! Let me drop this. Hold on. Let me take this from here. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.